So, namaste and welcome to Satsang today. We had a week off last week, so it's nice to be back here in Satsang together, all of us. And if you're new to these teachings, you're very, very welcome. I'm really glad that you're here. And this path that we're following here is a very direct path to self-realization or awakening, and everything that I am sharing in Satsang or in the community, as you were hearing from Lisa, that it is from my own experience of what really seemed to work for me after lots of experience of what really didn't work for me in terms of not only recognizing who I am, what everything is, the one formless reality, the supreme self, but also clearly recognizing and being able to step away from who I am not. And so there is only the real self, the one being, and any ideas that we have about ourselves that are coming from the old sense of self, the old sense of a separate self, are really just going to be falling away more and more as we progress on the path. However, that doesn't mean that that process is automatic. For many of us, we might need a little help. Certainly I did, and most people I meet need a little help to move beyond those old ideas about ourselves. And it's because of this, this particular thing, moving beyond these old ideas about who we thought we were and into a deeper understanding of what we actually are and an experiential realization of that, that I ended up writing a series of books. They just wanted to be expressed. And I felt really called today to read from one of those books. And as always, it's a theme that's been coming up during the week again and again. And I always like to try to speak about something that's relevant right now for me, and also people have been asking about. So I want to read today from this book, How to Fall in Love with Yourself. And I'm going to read from the introduction. I'll read it on my iPad because it's easier for me, but the introduction, and maybe we'll get through the first chapter as well. But just a little background about this book first. We might call what we really are, I've used supreme self, formless reality in this satsang already. We could also call it silence, consciousness, presence, divinity, noumenon, awakeness. We could call it beingness. There are so many names for what we could call ourselves, the real self. But love is another one of those. And as I began to realize who I was, I began to realize that to live authentically as um, that real self, I had to be able to fall in love with myself again. And I don't mean to fall in love with the formlessness, the silence. We're already there with that, right? We have devotion to the truth, the formless reality. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here in this satsang or on the path. But how do we fall in love with our body and our mind and our personality quirks and the things that we would rather let go of? And of course, I'm not talking about romantic love here, although the love that we are will express itself that way too if it wants to. But how do we love something like fear? How do we love resistance that we find inside ourselves? And this whole book was written to try to detail the steps of love that I went through in my own journey. And this book is actually a pathway in itself. If you were to read this book and really take it in, really try to embody what it is explaining and showing, that is, for me, 95% at least of awakening, the journey to living as that real self or that real love, complete. At least 95% complete, maybe more. There's only one or two more tiny things to know after that. So it's a pathway in and of itself. And I thought it might be useful just to read from the beginning, in this satsang. Something in my heart wanted to share it, so we will do that. And first of all, just to give a little overview of this. There are several types of love that we experience. And we all begin with conditional love. And conditional love says, I love you if, or I love you if, or I love you when, or I love me if, or when. So when I change or let go of this thing that's not right about me, then I'll love myself. When I wake up to truth completely and embody it fully, then I will love myself. Or I'll love you if you make me feel secure or worthwhile or needed or whatever we're asking for, unconsciously, of course. And conditional love is not bad. It is simply conditional love. It's a more limited expression of the real love that we are. When the real love thinks itself to be a separate person, only one body and mind, all it knows is conditional love, love with conditions put upon it. And then as we deepen in our journey into awakening, we'll begin to touch upon unconditional love, which is simply, I love me as I am, and I love you as you are. But there's still a separate person there, even in unconditional love, an apparent separate being, loving unconditionally. And again, unconditional love is not better than conditional love. It just is more expansive, less limited. So the book takes us through that journey. But most of what I want to say today, we can get through in the first two chapters, which lay the foundation. The final stage of love is non-dual love, or love before division, or love before separation. Love where there is no person or thing to love. There is just love recognizing itself. So when love looks at something, that love sees itself in a different disguise. It doesn't see a person or a thing, only recognizes itself. So what I thought I would do is I would read through these chapters, and then, as always, I'll open it up for any questions that we have here about what I'm going to say in this book, or about any questions that you have about awakening in general. Hopefully this will be a useful discussion and exploration together. So I'll start with the dedication for the book. If you have the physical book, you'll see it's not very thick at all. It's not going to take long for you to read. But just in case you don't have it, I'll read it from this copy here. Dedication says, this book is dedicated to to all humanity in the hope that it helps us to come to love and accept ourselves as we are right now. Only once we may love without limits, expectations, and demands upon ourselves will we begin to live in our highest, begin to live and love in our highest potential. May you fall deeply back in love with yourself, and may all internal conflict cease. Let there be peace in your heart. Because if you fall back in love with yourself, then you're going to find it impossible to judge yourself, or anyone else or anything else, you're going to find it impossible to reject or dislike yourself. And the deepest part of awakening is a full and rich expression of the love that we are, living like a human being in the world, a living, loving expression, looking like a human being, but not confused anymore. So read through the introduction and we'll see where we get to. This book arose out of a clear calling from students who expressed a deep wish to be able to love without limits and without any boundaries. Over and over again, it was seen that there was a deep desire in each of us to return to the natural state of love that we really are. And yet, time and time again, I saw most of us don't know how to stop judging ourselves and begin to allow the emergence of love. And that was how it was in my own journey too. I knew that the ultimate goal was to love myself, whatever that meant. I didn't know. But there was a deep desire for that, and I was endlessly frustrated by not knowing how to actually begin with that. As I said before, the only experience of love I'd had was conditional love, and conditional love of myself, which was really my own unique way, as you have your own unique way, I'm sure, to reject or judge yourself. This book is offered then in the wish that it serves as a gateway to allow the love that is already inside each one of us, but perhaps we don't know how to allow. As you read the chapters that follow and apply them, a deepening sense of acceptance, love, and compassion for your own self and others will begin to emerge. Soon, you'll forget how to judge yourself harshly or negate any part of your existence. Your very presence will inspire the same in others around you. Just pause there for a moment. What would it be like to forget how to judge yourself harshly or negate any part of your existence? What does that even mean? It means that no matter what arises or what we would like to change about ourselves, we're not going to use that as a reason for not loving ourselves. We're not going to put conditions on that love. We love ourselves because we are, because we exist. And that we're not going to treat the continued unfolding evolution of our body and mind as a kind of project or a work in progress that is going from imperfect to perfect. So, not being able to judge yourself, there is only peace. It doesn't mean that you stop unfolding and evolving. Your mind and body, in fact, will evolve and love will emerge even faster. And as it says, you'll inspire that in others too, as they see your living example. It's not our fault that perhaps we don't know how to love ourselves as yet, and we must stop blaming ourselves. Simply through coming to understand what love is and how it moves in our life, we'll begin to become that love and move away from judging ourselves and others. First, we'll take a look at what love is and perhaps more importantly, what it is not. Second, we'll take a look at the stages of love we will move through in our journey. We all start with conditional love before allowing unconditional love to blossom. We can then move even further into an awakening to the truest non-dual love of the real self or reality. Each of these stages will be described and explained so that we may let go of more limited forms of love and move to freer, expressions of self-love. Limited is not wrong or bad. It is simply limited. So it's important we can start right now with this thing, can't we? If we notice that we're loving ourselves conditionally, that we're withholding love or approval from ourselves until we measure up to the picture that we have of how we're supposed to be, then we can really notice that even without judgment. If all that we have been taught is conditional love, how could we possibly know any different? And if those that raised us have only been taught conditional love and had examples of that, how could they know? So we can begin to move even into unconditional love now if we can see our own tendency to withhold love from ourselves without judgment of it, just to see it. When this thing happens, or when I feel that emotion, or when I have the same old trigger come up inside again, or when I find that I have spent too much money, or put too much weight on, or said the wrong thing to the person I want to be with. When we find those things happening, even if we notice an immediate rejection of ourselves because of that inside, can we simply just notice that? And of course, we would want to move to a deeper form of love, but can we blame ourselves if we don't know that yet? What happens when we don't judge ourselves for not knowing even what love is or what unconditional love would look like? Have we really had many examples of unconditionally loving beings to model ourselves upon? Did we learn it in school? Did we get sat down and this is how to love yourself unconditionally? Well, I certainly didn't. So we can start to let go of judging and blaming ourselves for where we're at. If all we have for ourselves right now is self-hatred and self-rejection or judgment, so be it. But we don't need to blame ourselves for that. We've all been taught that the way to change into who we think we should be is by rejecting and blaming ourselves as we are right now. And that has never worked, not ever, not once. So let's continue. Lastly, we will look at how we can love our separate sense of self or ego into dissolution. As our capacity for love deepens, we can stop rejecting any part of ourselves and begin to live as that highest expression of love, in which there is no object of love, but only love itself. Formless, omnipresent love. One human being living as this highest expression of love can change the world and inspire many others to do so, to do the same. Isn't it time you lived your highest and best life? So we all know examples of people who have great beings who have walked this path right to the end of the path of love, which is what this book is about. It's a path in itself. Examples of those who are not only unconditionally loving, the great sages, the great teachers, but have a capacity to love all of creation because they know what it really is, that it's not at all what it looks like. What time are we on? Okay. We'll move on to chapter 1, and I will, after chapter 1, I'll see how we're going. I'll open it up for some discussion. Chapter 1 is called What is Love Anyway? Because as I was writing this, it reminded me of my own experience. The first thing I had to admit to myself is that I didn't know what love was. And it was a huge relief when I finally admitted it. This thing that I had been wanting and chasing, trying to get from other beings. Please, please, please love me so I'll feel better about myself. And trying to give to others, trying to love others. And if I was to become this love or to live as this love that I already am, doesn't it make sense then that we start by honestly admitting that we might not know what that is? What is love? It's a endless question. But it's enough for us to start by just letting go of any blame, again, for ourselves, that we might not know what it is. Again, nobody has ever actually sat us down and said, this is what love is in its various expressions. So, chapter 1, what is love anyway? We are here to learn how to love ourselves. And the first step is to realize that it's not our fault if we don't already know how to do that. We may have been taught that love is to want to improve ourselves or be better than we are. Whilst this is a noble intention, it will also set us up on a never-ending path of trying to improve what is already here and perfect in this moment. None of us start out feeling our own perfection, and in fact, we may be highly skilled at noticing our imperfections. I certainly was. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was. I was an expert on my own failure and my own imperfections. To begin to love ourselves, we must come to admit that maybe we don't really know how to do that, and that it is not our fault if we don't. I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. None of us start out feeling our own perfection, and in fact, we may be highly skilled at noticing our imperfections. To begin to love ourselves, we must come to admit that maybe we don't really know how to do that, and that it is not our fault if we don't. So can we just take a pause here, and if we're willing to admit to ourselves inside that maybe we don't know how to love ourselves, and that that could be a good thing. And it's only this idea that we should already know this that torments us. If we don't know how to love ourselves and we weren't supposed to know yet, then how much are we at blame or fault? What if we look at our life as an opportunity to learn how to love rather than a place to prove to ourselves that we are no good at it? So let me say that again because it's so important. What if we look at our life as an opportunity to learn how to love rather than a place to prove to ourselves that we are no good at it? If you want to learn to drive a car, but you've not had, if you want to learn to drive a car, but you have not yet met anyone that can show you how, would you be berating yourself that you cannot drive before having even a single lesson? No, of course you wouldn't. Yet each of one of us is punishing ourselves deep down inside because we feel we should know how to love our own self and others. So we're beating ourselves up, berating ourselves because we think we should know how to do something that we've never been shown how to do, to love ourselves. It's quite strange, isn't it, the way human beings are when we look at it like this. This idea that I should already know how to fall in love with myself, how to fall in love with all of myself. The formlessness, the silence, the stillness, I deeply love already. But I might even be loving that to try to get away from the form, which I was doing. You know, if I fall deeply in love with silence enough, somehow it will magically transform this into what I want it to be. It's not the fullest form of love, is it? It's conditional love. I love my mind, my body, my life, my emotions, as long as they change and look completely different, is what I was in effect saying. So let me just recap that. If you want to learn to drive a car, but you've not yet met anyone that can show you how, would you be berating yourself that you cannot drive before having even a single lesson? No, of course not. You wouldn't. Yet each one of us is punishing ourselves deep down inside because we feel we should know how to love our own self and others. Let's just be honest and say perhaps we don't know how, and that we aren't supposed to know how. Can we move around in our life in this orientation? Can we begin to be students of love and lovingness and want to find out what that is? Can we let go of judging, hating, and blaming ourselves that we don't seem to know how to love ourselves? There's an opportunity there. Let's pause to just launch an intention, not to try hard or anything, but just to launch an intention inside ourselves. I'd like to let go of judging, hating, and blaming myself because I don't seem to know how to love myself yet. If that feels relevant inside, then let's just take a moment to let that arise. I'd just like to let go of that. Knowing that the arising of that intention is enough. Yes, so can we let go of judging, hating, and blaming ourselves that we don't seem to know how to love ourselves? Yes, we can. I would urge you to let go of your ideas about love and instead insist on finding out what that really is. We may have seen many examples of loving beings that seem to radiate that love to all. And we may somehow be trying to measure up to that standard. What we fail to realize is that that great love for all of humanity emerging from these beings has been allowed, recognized, and learned rather than intuitively known. So it's important. If we're trying to emulate some being who's really, really loving of all creation, including themselves, can we recognize that they've been through their own process already that we're going through right now to allow love to emerge? And what would it be like if we simply were students of love and viewed our life, as we were saying before, as a place for love to emerge? We'll carry on. Perhaps it's wiser to say that a lot of both has occurred. So, a lot of both being that we've learned aloud and recognized and also intuitively known about love. Sages, avatars, and teachers of truth and love have had to do this exact same opening up and admittance of, I don't know what love is, nor how to get it or be it too. We all start from the same honest place of truth. Love is to begin to admit the truth that maybe I don't know how to love myself. And maybe I'm not supposed to know already. I'll read that last sentence again. Love is to begin to admit the truth that maybe I don't know how to love myself. And maybe I'm not supposed to know already. What if that is the very first act of love that you can really give yourself? Unconditional expression of love. Maybe I don't know how to love and I'm not supposed to. And I'm finding out as I go. Can the capacity for love be viewed as an art, science, or an emerging skill? Yes, indeed it can. All of us have been taught to love conditionally, and that's where we all start. Even the great sages started from their ideas about what love is and how to do it or be it. We can finally begin to love ourselves more in this moment by accepting that we can love what love actually is, rather than loving our ideas and preconceptions about it. I'll say that again. We can finally begin to love ourselves more in this moment by accepting we can love what love actually is, rather than loving our ideas and our preconceptions about it. Perhaps even this simple thing is how we be love itself already. Perhaps in admitting we don't know what love is and have been following what we think it is how to love ourselves more. So if we can recognize that we maybe have been in love with our ideas about what we think love is and should be, and now we're drawing a line underneath that and saying, I don't know what love is, then we're wide open for some revelation to appear, to actually love itself, rather than to love what we think it is, to love ourselves, rather than to love who we think we are, which is usually some very distorted self-image that has nothing to do with who we actually are. And perhaps just doing this one thing is actually beginning to be the love that we want to be. I don't know what love is. I've perhaps only experienced my ideas about it. And I'm willing to begin to explore what love actually is. How I actually love myself might be very different than how I think I should go about loving myself. That's a huge difference. And we can make that shift now. We can make that shift now in this moment. I want to know what love is. I have all kinds of songs going around in my head at the moment from various artists. All you need is love. And I want to know what love is. Yeah. So we'll finish this chapter very quickly here, and then I'll open it up if there's any questions about this or anything to do with awakening. What happens when we throw out all ideas that we should already know how to be love, to give or receive love, or how to love others more? We will immediately be starting from the truest place of all by knowing that we don't know how, and that is totally okay right now. Love yourself enough to admit right now with me that you don't know. I don't know how to love either because I don't know what love is. I am in a constant and never-ending unfolding and discovery of what love is. Each and every moment, love is revealing another face of itself to me, and I love that I don't know what it is. It was a huge relief to admit I didn't actually know, nor was I supposed to know. Try that on for size and see if it feels good. That brings us to the end of this chapter, and I'll just conclude by saying I still don't know what love is. This satsang for me, and hopefully for you, is a unfolding discovery and exploration of love, also known as silence or consciousness or presence, divinity. And I hope there's been some things said here as I've read through these chapters, some movement inside of you that if all you get from this is this one thing that maybe we're not supposed to know how to love ourselves yet. And how could we know if nobody has shown us? Just that one thing is life-changing in itself. And then we can begin to be students of love and students of lovingness, as it says in the previous chapter. So hopefully then there is a deepening within us all from sharing this time together, these words together, this love together. And I really sincerely, really hope that something has moved inside your heart and a deeper love for yourself is emerging just by being here, just by listening, just by absorbing what this is and what this means. So, just to recap, there was the first two chapters of how to fall in love with yourself. And you might see that it came from my own journey of having absolutely no idea how to love myself at all, and yet somehow really, really wanting to. And now there is this falling away of any end point to that. What if it was a never ending deepening of love for myself? And somehow myself has grown to encompass all of manifestation and the unmanifest. So, as I said, I hope that that was helpful. I'd like to invite any questions about this or any aspect of awakening if you'd like to. And just a reminder that just to look out for that prompt to ask you to unmute that should come for you. Okay, we'll start with Timo. Hi, love. There we go.
Hi,
Hi,
Helen.
how are you?
Um, I'm quite nervous actually.
Me too.
Okay. Um, I've kind of actually been rehearsing this talk to you so many times, but I just
Yeah.
try to, and maybe it's just more sharing or as I don't know. I had a very deep experience this weekend, I think, and I was seeing the unity. I think there's just one being. Um, it was just very obvious, and um, yeah, it came actually. Someone gave me um, a hush cookie to eat, and I wasn't. It's not something I normally do, and I wasn't even sure if I should be doing it. But most people I told about were like, "Come on, you can do it. Don't." I don't know. Um, and then I was there was a lot of scare in the beginning, and I watched Satsang, and there was a guided meditation from you, and I kind of came out the other side of the meditation as the seeing, or I felt I mean the seeing was just very obvious, and then I just um, I saw there's no time, there's just now, there's just one being, there's nothing to do from there. Also, that I don't know anything actually, and yeah, this was very. And then pretty soon I thought, okay, this. I hope this doesn't go when the effect wears off, and then maybe at the same time I thought, how would this ever be gone? How could this be gone? Because it's just me seeing, and that's kind of the conundrum I'm still and it didn't go like um but it wore off a little over the next days, and I'm kind of investigating how this is coming and going, or if it's me actually trying to hold on to it or thinking myself into something like there's something I have to do. But then there's a lot of moments when I talk to people where I remember to see, and then I see the unity or the, and then again there's moments where I kind of forgot, and I don't really understand. And maybe that's the question. I don't really understand how this can be, or I'm not. I mean, I did see it, and I am this, or the seeing is it, and it's just not. I don't understand how this could be lost again, and but this seems to be the experience, and maybe you can explain it, or say how not to lose it.
When you had that um, experience of it, it seemed to come and go, right? It seemed at a certain point it was just clear who you are and clear who you were not, that you never been a tiny being and there never was an infinite number of beings. There's just this one consciousness or love. And then seemingly that experience went away. So is this even truth, even this beautiful, amazing experience, could this be the ultimate truth? If it can come and go? Or is that which was watching that experience the truth? The same self that is watching even the confusion and the forgettingness and the trying to get back to. There's something that we're calling I that's watched both of those, right? The beautiful open expansiveness. And then what comes after this seeming forgetting. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing because I remember how hard I tried to get back to something. Finally, I had to admit even this beautiful thing can't be the ultimate truth if it can seemingly come and go. So, what is it that perceived both of these, the beautiful and then the forgetting? What is it that remains constant throughout that? What is it that doesn't even need this beautiful open? Of course, it's nice, it's amazing, feels nice in the body, but what is it that doesn't even need that? What are you that saw both of these? Let's have a look inside together. Yeah. What is it that watches all experience? Even this right now, these two bodies talking, something is watching even this, isn't it? What
Yes,
is
yes,
that?
it's nothing. It's
It's no thing.
it's no thing that there's an all-encompassing empty seeing, something.
Just empty seeing. Is it dull? Is it boring?
No, it's like it's everything. It's
It's totally self-sufficient, isn't it? Totally perfect in itself, totally complete already. And it remains unchanged. Let's confirm this, that it remains unchanged, whether it's talking, watching bodies talk, or seeing its own self, turned around to look at its own self, or it's looking at thoughts or emotions. Is it changed? Are you changed when you look at thoughts and forgettingness rather than peace and bliss and love and unity?
that's kind of the conundrum, isn't it? Because I don't see it changing, but my experience seems to lose sight of it. And that's impossible because it is the seeing itself. So how could the seeing itself lose sight?
So all that's happening is there's a fascination with what is seen, what is experienced. And that is the last place we're fascinated with rather than the seeing or this infinite seer itself, right? Something is seeing, this I that you are, is no thingness everywhere, all pervading, just seeingness. And as you said, can it ever not see? No, because it is seeingness itself. Does it matter then to you what you see? Can anything you see or experience affect you or change you as this seeingness?
No, it's like,
But if we believe that it can, if we believe that if there's confusion in the mind or a sense of contraction in the body, that I'm affected by that, this seeingness, we'll feel that, we'll experience it, right? It will seem to be gone, obscured. But the same seeingness is watching confusion as it watches bliss, unity as it watches division, separation. What if those are just two states that you're experiencing, but you're watching those, both of those, like a pendulum clock? Unity, separation, unity, separation. But you're watching that pendulum swing and you're before it, behind it.
so this pendulum is my attention in a way, or is it?
Yeah. And you are before attention, even, aren't you? Something about you remained constant during the beautiful experience and later when it seemed to fade away. What happens if just for a moment we don't chase any experience and just be content with the seeing itself? Because experiences come and go, you know? 8 o'clock this morning, I was sitting in deep bliss and peace in meditation. 10 o'clock this morning, I was in the middle of the supermarket and very contrasting experiences. But I remain the same. I have no preference for that experience.
And is this how? I mean, how do you get there? Is because that's not a doing. I, I
It's
think
simply a devaluing of any experience, whether beautiful or horrible. It's not that we're rejecting any experience, they just come and go. They come and go, don't they, by their very nature, experiences. And living as the one watching the experiences is even more amazing than experiencing even the best experience, the highest experience that you could ever have is still nowhere near as good as living as the one watching everything. Total equanimity, total bliss, total peace, because there's nothing that can disturb that seeing at all. Formless seeing.
and but is this something different to having the attention on the formlessness?
It's a recognition that even when attention is on form or formless, the formless seeing is still the same, isn't it? When your attention is on the form, the mind and the body and the confusion, The body feels tight and contracted and tense, and we know what that feels like. When attention is kind of turned around to look at you, the formless seeing, the body feels, heaven and everything's wonderful and there is only the one being and oh my goodness, how did I not see this before? But the seer is the same, right? The one being that's seeing. It's exactly the same. Then attention goes back to form and the body feels terrible and the mind starts thinking and, you know, mind says this is terrible. But if you stay before attention, put more importance on what is before even attention, you'll find something really, I can't even put words to that. I've called it seeing, but it's just a word. I can't describe that, but it is so totally complete. Let attention go where it wants to and see if you're affected.
And do I have to remember, or how do I, because part of it is forgetting, isn't it? Like getting lost in the in,
Did you get lost? Did you forget? What is forgetting? If we say I forgot, I lost it, I lost it somehow. Really, that is attention going away from you, the formlessness, to back to the mind, right? Suddenly all the attention is on the mind. You're still here and peaceful. But we say, I forgot because attention has gone back to mind and it seems totally different. Do you have to remember if you haven't forgotten and can't forget? If you're only seeing, only watching, if that's all you're capable of, it could just be enough to remind yourself, I'm seeing even this experience. Even this experience of feeling disconnected, lost in separation again. I'm seeing even this. And let me bring more importance to the seeing of it than the experience. You'll be right back in your equanimity again.
Mhm.
This is everyone's question, isn't it?
Since I had this, I've seen a lot of satsang, and my impression is you've always been talking about it, and I didn't hear it before.
Today I'm calling it love, but I'm always saying the same thing, yeah. Because it's all there is. There's only the seeing.
I'm trying to. Is that kind of an instruction, or would that be too?
If you want to hold on to anything, hold on to the fact that the seeing is the most important thing, the only thing that's constant and unchanging and reliable for you. It is what you are. What you see is going to constantly change, but the seeing is unchanging and already free and stable, peaceful. It's good for now.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. It's only just to lose this last bit of fascination, even with amazing heavenly experiences. They come and go as well.
So will this then stabilize? Is it like will the pendulum, I don't know, get
The
slow?
very moment you don't care what the pendulum is doing, it will stop.
Mm.
It's funny, isn't it? Like that. Not funny, haha, but paradoxical, I mean.
Yeah.
When you're finally so complete being the seeing itself, and it doesn't matter whether you're watching the body feel terrible or blissed out, it kind of just stops. Because then the body begins to reflect your love affair with the seeing itself, which is total equanimity.
So it's not not even so much about seeing the unity. It's more because that's a part of the experience. It's
It would
more,
just be an experience, wouldn't it? A really good
yeah,
one, but it would still just be an experience. And I'd still be more excited by that which was seeing unity, right? You got it there. Now you've got it. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll go to Vera. Here we go.
Ahora sí.
There we go. Yay. Hola.
Hola, Helen. Me gustaría profundizar en lo del amor. Yo
I would
creo que
like to go deeper on the love.
sí que había la intuición de que no sé lo que es el amor,
It was the intuition that I don't know what is love.
pero cuando surge una reacción, un rechazo a cualquier cosa que haya afuera o
There is, when it happens a rejection of anything that is outside or a person,
persona o situación, surge un pensamiento que dice no es amor y, y yo siento dolor, siento el rechazo, siento dolor. Eso me gustaría profundizarlo.
there is a thought that it feels pain, feels rejection. So I would like to go deeper on that thought.
Can love reject anything? And does love see anything to reject? We know that mind would see things that it thinks we should reject. But what about love itself? Can love look at anything and say, you should not be like this?
Entonces, cuando surge ese pensamiento que dice no debería ser así, está fuera del
Then
amor.
when it happened, this thought that said that it shouldn't be like that, it is outside of love.
If we could look at it as this thought being not outside of love, but a more limited or contracted form of love. If we look at something or someone and say, you shouldn't be this way, what we're really saying is, I will love you if you change, which is really only conditional love, the first stage of love. And the deepest love that we are, the non-dual love, wouldn't even see anything other than itself. It would see itself appearing in a very limited way, but it wouldn't have any capacity to reject that. So, not even the mind isn't outside of love. The mind is just we could say, a limited way that love expresses itself. When we think that we're separate beings and that everyone is separate to us, all we have, the only option we have is conditional love or eventually unconditional love. But still, all of this universe is made out of love. There is nothing outside of it. As human beings, we get to experience this unfolding of the various stages of love. We're moving to more unconditionally loving ways of accepting ourselves and others, and then to the most direct non-dual love where there is no person to love, there's just love expressing itself as these various shapes. But there could be nothing outside of that love. Love would not look at conditional love and say it is wrong or bad. It would simply say it's just a limited version. Like if you had an old phone, an old mobile phone, and you got a new one, you upgraded it, you got a new one. You wouldn't say the old phone is bad or wrong. It's just needed upgrading, right? It's the same with love.
Sí, la frase amarse a sí misma, a sí mismo, me cuesta.
The sentence, love myself, it is hard for me.
When you fully, fully, fully accept, and you can do this right now, we can all do this right now. If you can fully accept that loving yourself is really hard for yourself, just feel that without judgment. Right now, let's just feel actually loving myself is really difficult. And then, without judgment of it, we can recognize as when we're conditionally loving, of course, it's going to seem hard to move to unconditional love. And if we can hold in our hearts the sense that we have this idea that we have this idea basically that we should know how to unconditionally love ourselves right now already. Where did that thought come from? Who told you? Where is it written that we should know how to do this already? I never found it. Only perhaps in my own mind and in your mind. I should already know how to love myself. Can you then accept right now with me here that it's okay if it's difficult to love yourself? And isn't that a deeper expression of love already emerging for yourself? I'm learning, right? I'm learning how to love. And nobody taught me, so I'm figuring it out as I go. And just because I haven't perfected it doesn't mean I'm not good enough. Is there really a perfection of it anyway? Isn't it always unfolding deeper and deeper like it is now in this conversation? If we were all just honest and say, actually, I don't know how to love myself, I find it very difficult, we could just take the pressure off right now. And that honesty, that is love, isn't it? Acceptance of what is. Actually, this is really difficult, but I'm willing to actually learn what love is rather than trying to figure it out in my mind. How you are right now, where you are in loving yourself, is perfect right now. We might like it to be more, but we can only experience that if we accept it as it is now. You're doing the best that you can, right? As we all are. That's real love. That's real love in that seeing. Real love.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Okay, I will go to Keith. There we go.
Okay.
Hi.
No. I can't get that foreigner song out of my head now. I want to know what love is.
I know. All day it's been going
You
around.
started it.
I'm gonna have to play it after Satsang, I think.
You could sing it
And
for us, Helen.
no, nobody wants to hear me sing. The Beatles as well, all you need is love. It's going around in there.
Yeah, I was listening. Yeah, I don't know now. It's been a lot of issue for me. I was thinking with what you were saying with Vera. I was thinking, well, I should know how to love myself at my age. I should have this figured out by now. I say things my dad would say to me.
What if that
I,
one thing though is not true? What if what you've just said there is not true? I should have it all
no, no,
figured out
no.
by now.
It's so interesting because it seems like such a. Sorry, there's a bird screaming in the background if you can hear it.
No, no.
No, I mean you're right. What? Oh, I don't know. What happens to me often is I wake up like at 4 in the morning and I start thinking about worrying about things and thinking, oh, I've done, my life's not right and I should have done different things. And it's really a lot not loving myself, beating myself up. I don't know. I wonder if you have any suggestions around that. I was listening to your session on uh, uh, was my mind's gone. Contemplation. That's what I was trying to say. Like contemplating. Like, is it a fear I'm feeling or something? Trying to unravel it that way.
We can, like 4 o'clock in the morning is a good time sometimes for our desires to arise, what we would really like for ourselves, what we'd really like for our lives. We can want what we want. I'd like to do something different or try something different or be different. Um, but it doesn't have to come from that sense of lack, meaning just because it isn't so already doesn't mean I have to beat myself up about it. So we can separate the desire aspect of that from the judgment, because somehow we've got a hold of this idea that the way to get what I want is to negate and belittle myself.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like the beatings
doesn't
will
work.
continue until morale improves.
Yeah, and it's just never worked. Has it ever worked for any of us? For
But how do you
me,
stop doing it? It's like it's on autopilot. It's like,
just to clearly see that somewhere inside, I have this crazy idea that being unkind to myself is going to actually make me more loving and compassionate and wise and happy. What it,
when you put it like
I
that.
had this moment where I remember, going, oh my God, like I really think that being really spiteful and hateful to myself is actually going to make me more like these great teachers that I've really admired and loved. And it was shocking and hilarious at the same time. How can I get to love from hatred and judgment of myself? You can't. And if you
Hmm.
really kind of stop and just take that in, why am I kind of doing something that doesn't work? Again, without blaming yourself, like all humanity is doing that, aren't they? If I criticize
Yeah,
myself harshly, somehow I'll come out of this better.
yeah, because we were conditioned like that, I guess. Yes, as children, yeah.
But just to see that, not to underestimate the power of just recognizing that, right, inside ourselves.
Mm.
What is it when we just recognize actually criticizing myself and judging is not actually working? I mean, have we ever just stopped and actually seen that clearly for any length of time?
No. The-
When I actually did that finally, without any strategy of how to move forward from there. Okay, this one isn't working. What do I do now? And I didn't know. But for the first time, there was an openness. I wasn't running ahead thinking I know exactly how to become who I think I need to be and get what I want.
mm.
There was just a pause. Can you feel it? Just a pause now.
Hmm.
Isn't it okay to not know how to get what you want and be who you want to be? And is
Well,
it true that you have to know?
no. I mean, Yeah, it's just that that voice seems to run on autopilot when I should know better, and
Yeah.
it seems like it's hard to stop that.
Just a habit. So just pausing like this when you notice it, just pausing and going, actually, that is just an old thing that's running. And I can just stop in a moment and say, I don't actually know if being unkind to myself is going to get me anywhere. In fact, I have plenty of evidence that it's not going to change things.
Yes, yes.
And just the stopping, the stopping, the stopping. You know, I remember one day just knocking over some milk in the kitchen, and there are all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff going on. Why would you do that for? You know, all this judgment. And I remember there's just this opportunity to just step back from that. And all that was left was I spilled some milk. It was
But
just matter of fact, right? I spilled some milk and I
yes,
cleaned it up, and that was it.
yes, that's what happened. It's just the judgment about, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or that was stupid, or whatever, that
Yeah, yeah,
adds all the extra layer to it.
yeah. And if we really want to see those pause moments, we'll see them. We'll notice something will stop us right in the middle of this judgment that goes on. Just, I really want to see those moments and see if I can make a different choice. Just to,
Mm.
even if the mind is still doing that, I can just let me just be, whatever it is. If I spilled some milk, so be it.
Mm.
And
Okay.
it's separating what we want for ourselves as a positive thing, but not hooking it to the judgment and the berating, just undoing those.
Yeah, it's like if I wake up at 4 in the morning, it runs on autopilot, and I have to really work on trying to think about it, think about stopping it and
Yeah.
finding that pause that you're talking about.
So just the simple recognition for me changed everything. The simple recognition that rejecting myself, being unkind to myself, is further away from the love I want to be, not closer. And I know it sounds crazy that I never realized that until
Yeah,
this moment,
you
but it
should know
was,
better.
yeah, why do
That's
I
what my dad.
think, how have I got this information? From where have I learned that being unkind to myself is actually going to change anything at all? And it was just stunningly clear.
Mm.
Like, that's never going to work for me. Let me try something else.
Yeah, you're making me think of like therapy type things where you go back and blame your dad. Oh, it's my dad's fault or whatever, and instead of just
Not even,
letting it go.
not even that. Just, what is it like if I won't use any experience as a means to be a reason to be unkind to myself? What is it like if I won't use anything that happens as a reason to judge myself?
Mm.
What's it like to move around my life from there? There'd be things I want and things I don't want, but none of that is, I'm not going to praise myself when I get what I do want. I'm not going to blame myself when I don't get it either. Just kind of stepping away from that.
Yeah. Okay.
Not
That's
trying
good.
hard with it, right? The intention to remember this is the most important thing, not the actual, if you forget at 4 o'clock in the morning, so be it. Just gently intending to remember next time.
Yeah, that's the thing. You forget at 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh, darn! I should know better. We discussed that last night, didn't it?
It
Yesterday as
always
well.
it always seems worse at 4 o'clock in the morning, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you for sharing. Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, what time are we on? We'll go to Luciano. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then we'll finish with Pauline. Am I saying that correctly? Hopefully.
Sí, perfecto.
Yay.
Hola Helen, ¿cómo estás? De
Hola.
Argentina. Bien, me siento muy honrado de compartir este momento con vos y quería contar dos cositas que tienen que ver con esto que vos mencionabas del amor.
I feel
Durante
very
mucho
honored.
tiempo,
I feel very honored to be here with you, and I wanted to tell you two things about this, what you mentioned. Love.
durante mucho tiempo yo creí que el amor tenía que ver con intensidad, con el querer buscar, el querer extrañar, el querer tocar.
For a long time, I thought that love has to do with intensity, with hugging, and with missing somebody.
Mhm.
De hecho, cuando empecé a profundizar en mi propia búsqueda, notaba que había perdido, o yo creía haber perdido, esa capacidad de buscar, de tocar, de sentir.
When I went deeper into my own search, I thought I had lost this capacity of touching and hugging and feeling.
Pensé que había perdido mi capacidad de amar. De hecho, tengo una situación que recuerdo de hace un montón de años, luego de haber hecho una ceremonia de ayahuasca.
I thought I lost the capacity to love after I had a ceremony of ayahuasca.
Empecé a conectar con los seres vivos desde otro lugar y recuerdo que la que era mi mujer mató como 20, 25 hormigas con un
I
producto.
I had uh, like my wife has killed 25 ants.
Y eso me provocó una gran angustia y terminó en una gran discusión y terminó en una separación,
And
divorcio.
this create like a big fight, and that brought to the divorce.
Yo en ese momento pensé que había perdido la capacidad de amar y comprendí años después que en realidad se había actualizado mi manera de amar.
I thought
Eh,
I lost the capacity to love, but what happened is that it was updated, this capacity.
Porque para mí pesaba lo mismo una hormiga que una persona.
Because for me, it was the same an ant than a person.
Yo pensé que había perdido la capacidad de amar y años después comprendí que se había expandido, que se había hecho como más incondicional, por llamarlo de alguna manera.
Yeah, so I thought I lost the capacity to love, but it became more unconditional and bigger.
Pero esta actualización la sentí como con mucha angustia, ¿sí? Sentí como que algo no andaba bien cuando en realidad después con el tiempo comprendí que todo iba mejor.
But this update, I felt it with a lot of anguish, but it was with time that I realized that this was for better.
Yeah.
Y la pregunta que tenía que hacer, que la tengo anotada hace un tiempo, tiene que ver con cuando hacemos esta práctica de autoobservación.
And the question I have is, been for a long time, is that when we have the practice of, ¿ha dicho autocontemplación?
Uh-huh.
Of contemplation,
Hay
yes.
una, uh-huh. Hay un margen o hay un límite entre reconocer el ser y una mente que busca una experiencia.
There is a
¿Cómo
limit
hago?
between finding the self and a mind that is looking for an experience.
Did you say there's a separation between that? Yeah. A separation between the mind and... Sorry, could you just repeat it again for me? That last bit.
Sí, sí, sí. En realidad, cuando hago la autoobservación y trato de traer mi atención al ser,
When I do this,
¿cómo,
the self observation, and I try to bring the attention to the self,
cómo hacerla para no caer en una búsqueda de una experiencia?
how to do it, not to go not into a looking for an experience.
Let's do it together now, shall we? Shall we do it together now?
Sí, claro.
Let's have a look and see what you really are. Let's see if we can find who you are.
No, solo aparecen diálogos mentales,
There is only
sonido.
mental dialogues, sounds.
What is aware of all of that? What is watching and noticing that?
Cuando lo busco no encuentro, es presencia, presencia.
When I look for it, I cannot find it. It's just presence.
So you cannot find it as a thing, as an object, but you do find presence, which is not an object, right? Can
Ujú.
can presence be experienced, or is it just simply here?
No, no puede ser experimentada. Mi pregunta es, ¿cómo hacer para que la mente que se quiere meter, la mente se quiere meter a buscar una experiencia? ¿Cómo hacer para desanclar eso?
No, it cannot be the experience. But my question is how to do, because the mind is trying to get in, and how to do not to make this into an experience.
That's where I was leading to. So let's go back to presence. It's just here. You're perceiving presence, right? Does it matter whether
Sí.
when you're perceiving presence, does it matter whether your mind speaks about presence? Does it change presence if mind talks about presence?
No,
And right now, if attention were to move away from presence back to a thought or an experience, is presence any different? Does it change?
no,
Is there anything at all that can change you, the presence, into something else?
no,
So when you recognize presence, is it an experience or is it something more direct even than experience?
está antes de la experiencia.
It's before the experience.
Yeah. And presence watches every experience, doesn't it?
Ujú.
So even if your mind, right after we've finished this inquiry together, if your mind starts making an experience out of this, presence would still watch that experience, wouldn't it? Can you ever experience anything as presence? An experience is coming and going and is changing. Does any experience affect presence?
No,
And are you looking at this presence or from it? Are you looking at it as a person or from it as presence itself?
desde la presencia.
Now you're smiling. So, does it matter to you then as presence, directly recognizing itself? Whatever experience is happening, does it matter to you? Take your time with this one. Enjoy it. So now tell me the answer to your question. You tell me the answer. if you want to.
Da igual
It doesn't
la
matter.
pregunta que utilice para la autoobservación, ya sea quién está observando, si hay alguien ahí,
The
da
question that I
igual lo que
use,
pregunte.
it doesn't matter the question I use.
Yeah. So what I want you to really see here is that when presence recognizes itself, it's never an experience, is it? In fact, if you really look, it isn't even that presence is recognizing itself. It's in that moment, there is only presence. So all the time for you and for all of us, there is only presence. And sometimes superimposed on that presence is the sense of a person coming and going. And we think it's the person that's looking at presence, but it's not. It's presence just here, just itself, unmodified, unchanged, completely present. That could never be taken away from you, can it? Can anything take presence from you or change it if you are it? But until we realize that, we have the experience of it coming and going, it being an experience. Well done.
Sí, incluso cuando la mente viene a hagamos el ejercicio, sigue siendo dentro de la presencia.
Even when mind comes and do this exercise, he's inside the present.
Is it your mind that did this exercise?
No, sucede adentro de la presencia.
Only
It happens inside the present.
Presence recognizes itself without even the mind or senses. It doesn't need the body to recognize itself. It doesn't need the mind to recognize itself as presence. It only uses the mind and the body for contrast. When there's something moving and changing and becoming, it can recognize itself as the unchanging and complete. So it's good. You feel like you have the answer? Or do you feel like you are the answer? Or both?
Es muy raro porque siento como que nunca la necesité a la respuesta.
It's very strange because it feels like I never needed the answer.
Yeah. It would just be something that came and went anyway, right? And you would be watching it as presence. Even the greatest epiphany or realization is still watched from presence. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Y gracias al traductor. Muchas gracias.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, we will finish with Pauline. Hi, love.
So, in the beginning, it's been such an interesting discussion. So glad when you talk about love, because it is one of those words. We all know it, but we don't know what it is.
And we're so sure that we do know, right?
Yes. And I always knew that I didn't love myself. And I encountered it early on when at school they said the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. And I thought, well, there's a problem.
I'm in trouble. If I have to if I have to love my neighbor as I love myself, then I'm in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're in trouble too.
Yes.
So then, when you were talking about we're not taught unconditional love, I was remembering I was blessed with extremely easy and loving parents, and a sometimes a very annoying but very loving sister. And
I'm only laughing from my own childhood experience with my sister. We loved each other deeply, but we annoyed each other endlessly. Yeah.
thank you. But it was, I thought, so what, why did I not love myself when all they ever gave me was, I mean, when I look at it now, it was unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you were talking to Vero, I suddenly realized, but my mother in particular was, well, they all were, but because I was in quite a sick child, and the concern
Mm-hmm.
always worried about me. So that was a condition that was never, it wasn't that I had to do something right. It was that there was something wrong with me because they were perceiving. I just realized that when you were talking to Vero, you know, that's a kind of other conditional love.
Yeah.
That is, but it's often occurred to me how we, I've seen it just recently in a young mother, we confuse concern with love. It's almost as though society says you're not a good mother if you're not concerned.
Yeah.
It's not. In fact, my son-in-law said to me, it's very natural for you to love your children, but your concern for them drains them. And I thought, oh. And then when my mother died, of course I was sad. And then I realized all she ever wanted from me was that I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, she would not want to be the cause of my suffering. And somehow that really shifted my whole relationship with that concern. So I don't know that I really got a question, but I thank you for bringing that all up because it, some things sort of dovetail
Mm-hmm.
nicely together. And I just saw another side of this. Well, I guess we start off in the human body, and
You do.
so love is pretty unclear. Yeah.
In my own journey as a parent and always wanting what's best for my children and wanting them to have the best life possible, as I'm sure parents do, there had to be some kind of letting going that I can want that, but whatever they're experiencing right now must be some part of their path. And if that's illness or whatever it is, right, for each of us, when we cross that line into needing someone to change, even if it's, I need you to be physically well, you know, there's a condition there, a very subtle condition there. And it was a real big thing for me to be able to kind of step back from that. And I don't want to, anywhere inside myself anymore, say that you should be different than you are. Of course, I would like you to be well or happy or abundant or whatever, but as you are right now is still okay, is still perfect. And there was a big shift in that. And again, we're not taught that this is how to be an unconditionally loving parent or a child, that's learning to love unconditionally. But we see these things as we progress along the journey that, yeah, but it's just And of course, not just our children, we do this with our parents, with our siblings, with our everyone, you know. So it's good just to have that shift, that seeing, and um, I can love someone and want the best for them without needing them to be different in this moment. That's for me the highest place that love can rest. I can hold on to what I want for you, but I don't have to insist upon it with my whole being. It's a different energy then, isn't it?
Yeah, like, all I ever want is that you be happy.
Mm.
It's like, well, start here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then let the rest be. But yes, thank you. That was very succinct.
It's just I love this discussion we're having about love today because I love still try to be a student of it and to not really every time I think I know what it is, it disappears and changes or moves and changes, you know? And it's just good to uncover these subtle nuances where we we've been trying to be a certain way or not be a certain way. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Cute. Wonderful. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get to the hand that just came up. But maybe next time, if you can put your hand up, I'll try to come to you first. Thank you so much. Thank you to our wonderful translators as well. And thank you for being here and sharing this time with me. I've really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Namaste.